Congratulations, my dear personal human person. You have managed to face the unknown once more. And here I sit with crossed legs, the microphone perched up on a tripod. So, last time I talked about what is mind, and now I'm going to talk about what is consciousness. Well, that's a difficult one. I mean, mind itself is already, to put it into a box and label it, is already insane. So, consciousness. Alright. I believe that mind and consciousness are somewhat, sometimes we use words to express different things, or we think we do, while they actually mean the same thing. So if I talk to you about mind and consciousness, in the end it's just words. Maybe we can talk about a conscious mind. You also see how these kind of ideas we have about anything builds up on each other. Right? And that's why the more you learn, the more you grow. You could say the more your mind grows, the more the map of your mind expands, the more conscious you become. And so what I would say is that while mind is a tool that can direct consciousness, I would say that consciousness is the totality of all the connections in your mind. So it's everything you are aware of at a given time or moment or feeling or something. So some people, they never bother to grow their mind, and that's why their consciousness remains the same size. I believe that, from my own experience, you can nourish your mind, and that makes your consciousness grow, because the more information you gather on yourself, the world around you, that includes people and all kinds of things, the more you open your mind, the more conscious you become. So there are some people who live their lives and all they are conscious of is, for instance, money. So they walk around, and when they see a tree, they associate the tree with money. So their consciousness is very narrow-minded. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. Because all they think about is money. It's like floodlight, and I think it is called a flashlight. It's like, you can direct your consciousness onto a certain point with your mind, or you can open it up and just see the whole picture. And sometimes you need one, and sometimes you need the other. It's also, you could consider that different kinds of meditation. Okay, so if you are conscious, then you could say you are also consciousness. And that means if your consciousness resides inside a body, that it does make a tremendous difference what you eat. So consciousness resides in the body, and that gives you a sense of self, that gives you a sense of that's who I am. So if you would take away all form, all manifestation, all form, all the material, if you would take that all away, then all that is left is consciousness. Because consciousness, and you may call that the soul or whatever, don't really care, or spirit, is in its totality what in spirituality is considered as oneness. Or even science has a word for it, it's called singularity. It's all one. And you can label that as God, and then you can say, you know, I'm God and you are God and everything is God. So even the microphone I am talking to is, in a sense, God. Because God is everything. You can also call that energy. So I can consider myself to be a form of energy that likes to communicate with others in such a way. So, to me, no, it's all life, but that's something for later. You know, I'm trying to stick with consciousness. That's something that I find weird, because why do we talk about pros and cons? And why is the word con in consciousness? So we also talk about sentient being. Consciousness. You see, sometimes I take that. In German it's called Bewusstsein. And that word itself means to be conscious. Bewusst sein. B is a something, a prefix that creates a relation to the following words. So to a person, generally, I think. Bewusst. Wusst is comes probably from to know, wissen. And then sein, obviously, to be. So it means you know something. To know. And now we have to talk about consciousness, Bewusstsein. So you see, I have a certain set of, if we see it in terms of chess, I have a certain set of figures that I can move to corner my problem, which might be the king, or a question, what is consciousness? I'm trying to corner the king in the suit of consciousness, or I'm trying to corner consciousness in the suit of the king. So if I'm playing chess, I look at what do I have available and what can I make of that, right? If I don't have a queen, because it was taken, I cannot use it anymore. But I may get it back by using my pawn to get to the end of the chessboard. So if I look at the problem, what is consciousness, and I'm trying to solve that, I'm using what I have available at the moment to get to a solution, to dissolve, right? Solution. A solution is like a concoction of different things. And that's why you have to take insights, knowledge, wisdom, experiences, and you have to blend them together into some kind of soup. And when the soup is cooked well, it's tasty. So tasty. And so you can cook the soup of yourself to make it something that's fine, at least to yourself. And that's why you can change what you are conscious of by gathering information. So when you are greedy with experiences and information, it's a kind of obsession. At the moment I have a real obsession with chess. So I sit down and I fill myself with information about chess. I play chess online, I think about chess. Everything I do, I consider in terms of chess. So if I start living my life, I see this as a kind of a chess move. At the same time, I watch this series, Queen's Gambit. So I concern myself, there's the word con again, or the prefix. I concern myself with chess. So that my consciousness in terms of chess is growing. But it's not just in terms of chess, because what I learn by playing chess, I can apply into my life. And that means I will become more conscious about the movings and goings about of the figures in my life. That might be different people, and that might be myself. So in that sense, if I learn to play chess, it will be easier to navigate my life consciously, because I suddenly see, if one person does this, I'm gonna do that. So you're going to adopt a more responsive lifestyle rather than this kind of expectant lifestyle, right? Most people, they have a need and they expect others to fulfill it, because they are unconscious of that need, because, they are conscious of other things. I want to eat cake, I want to watch TV, all kinds of things. If I don't know what I want in a given moment, I sit down and think about it, feel about it, contemplate about it, until my consciousness, so I use my mind to navigate my mind. I use my mind to navigate the things I am conscious about, because they are all there. And sometimes I get to that thing that says, okay, I thought I wanted to go climbing. Oh, I'm almost done. I thought I wanted to go climbing today, but what I realized was the motivation behind going climbing. It wasn't to go climbing, it was to have sex. So if I remain unconscious of the fact that what I really want is to have sex, and that is the reason why I want to go climbing, because I think I might find a woman there that I can have sex with, then I can navigate around that and say, well, I already have a wife, so I just don't spend a lot of time with her these days because I have to do my own thing, I have to work. And that means if I'm unconscious about my motivation to go climbing, I will go climbing, but then I will remain frustrated, because when I'm there, I'm going to see and meet women. But because I already have a wife, I don't want to actually have sex with them. I want to have that with my wife. And so in the end, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna see all the things that I will decline, and then I'm gonna go back and feel more frustrated, because now I put a lot of effort into something that I actually never wanted from anybody else but my wife. You see, if you become more conscious, now I become conscious of this, I can make a decision that helps me to make my life a little easier. So in that sense, yeah, sure, I'm the pawn, but I'm also the knight, I'm also the rook, I'm also the king's bishop. Yeah, I'm also the king and I'm also the queen. But which role do I have to play the most right now? Because I want to have a queen, but I'm also a queen. Because I have a male and a female side. And I'm conscious of that. Some people are unconscious of the fact that they have a male and female side, and then you have men that hate men and then become gay because they start identifying with their femininity, and then they think they have to be like a woman. But then you see these pretentious men that act like they're women, but that's not how women are, not at all. Only like kind of prissy, unbalanced women are like this, because a real woman, sure, she's a woman, but she also has masculine traits. And if you turn that coin around, a woman that has been emotionally hurt by men might hate them, and then she may hate her own masculinity, and then she will, I don't know, become a really angry lesbian, because then she tries to be a man herself. I don't know, it's quite complicated. I'm not a woman in this life, I have a penis, and therefore I'm a man. And therefore I have to figure out how to be as a man, and other men often cannot tell me, because they don't know shit. Because they are unconscious of a lot of things that I'm conscious about. Because I'm working to be conscious of these things. Of course, you can't blame them for them. You can just do it how you feel like doing it. And just because you hear me talking about consciousness doesn't mean shit for your life. Because you have to do these things yourself. I'm just doing this so that I can make a living, because I'm conscious of the fact that I'm still living at home, and I want to change that, and so I'm working my butt off to give to people something that they could have gotten themselves. So instead of just to keep listening to these things, you could just figure them out by yourself. But that's the thing, maybe you cannot. Because that's also something that I've realized, everybody is different. Because while I had the same diet as everybody else, my choices were different. Even though I was unconscious about what I was doing, I still did it. And that means I simply am the way I am. And in that sense, I never changed. I was always like this. I always had my own rhythm. I liked to sleep when I felt tired. And just by trying to be like everybody else, right, I lost myself. But in a sense it was okay, I just had to get back to that. And so consciousness is, in that sense, the self. But it's also everything. Only consciousness, I believe, manifests in all kinds of shapes and patterns and, in all kinds of things. And, like, if there wouldn't be things like a cajon, you couldn't make music with it. So in that sense, you could say that cajon came into existence so that man could play with it. So the cajon might enjoy being played with just as much as you like playing with it. And if you engage with the world in such a way that everything is conscious, you suddenly start becoming much more gentle. And that's then why spiritual people are often quite soft. But if you live amongst wolves, you have to be also partly a wolf, which means you have to be strong. So if I walk around and I'm conscious of the fact that trees are conscious beings, and I see humans that are only conscious of money, and they mark them with numbers, like cattle on a farm, I get angry. And what I want to really do is take an axe and destroy those buildings where they hide themselves in, and mark these trees as, they are going to be taken. It's just like fattening them up. And if they could speed up the process, they would, only they cannot. And it makes me angry to see a really old tree standing in a park and somebody spraying numbers on it. This one, let's look at it, it's getting nice and juicy. Just so that they can make money with it. Because that's what forestry departments do. It's more economy. So you see, if you start becoming conscious of these things, and you might even be subconsciously aware of them, so you still know it is like this, and it might still make you angry. Well, it's better to work with that, to see it and to speak about it so that other people can hear it, instead of saying nothing. We have to speak up about our forests and our trees, because if we don't do that, they will take them all because of their greed. A tree takes 100 years to grow to a, proper size. And it takes only a couple of minutes or seconds to chop it down. So it's easier to take a life than to make a life. And I think I would like to leave it at that. It's about consciousness. And when you are conscious of something, even subconsciously, you have to take responsibility of it. So if you're subconsciously aware of the fact that you feel miserable and shit and are unhappy, then it's your fault if you let it be like that. Because you are in charge. You have to take responsibility. Nobody's gonna do that for you. Other people will watch you die and wither away. They don't give a shit. Believe me, I've tried. I've been at the verge of, having suicidal thoughts. I phrased it amongst the people in my surroundings, and they said nothing. They even blamed me for that. They said I was selfish for mouthing it, for saying it. They said I was selfish. That's coming from family members. Yeah, and the closest thing to, push through was exactly that. Somebody telling me push through. That was my dad. And that was for me, okay, I'm gonna do everything that I can think of to get out of this shit. So that meant I had to become conscious of all the things that were making me heavy. Because at the moment, what I can be conscious about is mostly me. And once I am more conscious about myself, I can start being conscious about the world that surrounds me. That's as simple as I can put it. In the end, it's about gathering information and asking yourself the question, what is consciousness, what is mind, what is life, what is happiness, and then finding answers. So that you as an individual manifestation of consciousness become more conscious of the whole thing. And that means being empathic means nothing else but being conscious of the feelings of others. But you also need to be conscious of your own feelings.